Hello, my name is Sophie and this is the third video in the Our World module. In this video, we will be looking at what is global warming and addressing the problems caused by it. Greenhouse gases are gases that trap heat in the atmosphere. These include some of the more common gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, nitrous oxide, as well as many more. The increase in levels of greenhouse gases is a major reason that global warming is occurring. This is because about half of the light reaching the Earth from the Sun passes into our atmosphere. Normally, this energy would hit the surface and be reflected and radiated back to space. But since the Industrial Revolution, the greenhouse gases have created a layer in the atmosphere, like a blanket, which then absorbs about 90% of the infrared heat radiated from Earth, trapping the heat in the atmosphere and radiating it back to Earth, rather than releasing it to space. This then causes climate change due to the increased temperature of the atmosphere. The reason it is called the greenhouse effect is because if you go in a greenhouse when it is sunny, it is a lot warmer in the greenhouse than outside, due to the glass not letting the heat out. Let's take a look at some of the many potential effects of global climate change. Extinction of species from destruction of habitats, such as the ice caps melting, threatening the polar bears. The warming of the atmosphere and oceans has led to the ice caps melting, which then causes the sea levels to rise. This has already caused flooding to be worse in many countries. The Maldives is an example where this is likely to occur, and it has been estimated that it will be underwater by 2100. But some predictions worry they will be underwater in as little as the next 30 years. The majority of the country is only 1 metre above sea level, with its highest point being 2.4 metres above sea level. The Maldives government held underwater meetings to bring attention to the problem. They are also buying land abroad in places like Australia to grow crops to feed its citizens, as well as allow them to move elsewhere as climate refugees. It is also estimated that London will be underwater by 2050 if there is a sea level rise of 2 metres. There is an increased risk of skin cancer due to more dangerous UV rays hitting the surface of the Earth. The greenhouse gases cause a lot of the rays to bounce back to Earth, rather than being returned to space, causing the atmosphere to warm. The ozone layer often protects us from some rays, but due to the increased damage to the ozone layer, it created a hole, so had been letting in more rays through than normal, but thankfully it closed up in December 2020. Some of the more interesting ideas to combat this include space mirrors, as well as tiny umbrellas in space to stop the UV rays from even entering the atmosphere. More extreme weather conditions, such as droughts and hurricanes, will occur as a result of global warming. Droughts will occur because the atmosphere is warmer, causing hotter weather to be present in some areas. Hurricanes will be more likely to form due to warmer oceans, as a sea temperature of 27 degrees Celsius is needed for them to form. To combat all of these devastating effects, carbon dioxide levels must be reduced. This can be done in a variety of ways. Firstly, by reducing fossil fuel usage. This can include using renewable energy sources instead, such as solar panels, wind turbines, and geothermal energy. Even nuclear energy is surprisingly more sustainable. Advertising ways to use less energy in our homes, like turning off the lights and not leaving devices on standby, but also reducing the amount on internal heating used and wearing extra layers instead. Using more eco-friendly travel, such as using electric cars, car sharing, or public transport. Recycling items made of glass, cardboard, paper, and aluminium, as this requires less energy than making products from scratch. Secondly, global warming could be reduced by reforestation and creation of more green areas. However, as we saw in the last video, this isn't always as easy in some places such as rainforests, which have too infertile soil to replant vegetation. Finally, all countries need to work together to help combat environmental problems. International deals and targets for reducing emissions can be agreed by countries across the world, such as the Paris Climate Change Agreement. Over the last 3 videos, we looked at our present atmosphere compared to the early Earth's atmosphere and built up on what the causes of climate change are, going into detail on how CO2 levels have been increased by humans. We all need to play our part to help limit environmental damage and protect our world for future generations. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.